Hello, this is Bill Webb, aka Billy Indiana. Today I'm going to talk about the gameplays that I had in September 2025 and talk a little bit about my experience at World Series of Board Gaming, which is where I got to play most of the games you're going to see, 30 gameplays, 23 different games. So if you're curious to hear a little bit about the World Series of Board Gaming and see the games that I got to the table in September, stay tuned. All right, so I'm going to go through the games in reverse order here and kind of talk about them from the least played to the most played and just give a real quick summary of each and then give some highlights at the end. So this is a little card game, Up and Down. It's by Capstone Games, and it is an interesting game. Just played it the one time at World Series of Board Gaming, but you're trying to put these cards in either ascending or descending order, and you're collecting them from the middle of the table. Let's see, here's a set. Yeah, so you're collecting them from this ring, and when you put them out, you, like if I want to take this 32, if I put this 32 down, I could take this 33 that's next to it. So you're always putting one down and taking one to either side of that. And so that's an interesting dynamic of the cards being played out there in the middle and shifting what's available and then trying to build your up and down tableaus in front of yourself. So a fun little game. Didn't play it too many times. I think, in fact, just the one time. And it was the first time, so but I enjoyed that one. Two Rooms and a Boom. Played this with my advisory group at school. There's 18 kids, and so divided them up, and it was my first time trying to play the game, and so I was still kind of figuring it out, and I did make one critical mistake. I didn't put any of the special characters in. There were a couple people absent, so we only had 16, so I just used the regular agents and the president and the bomb. And so I think it was just it was not as exciting. It wasn't as, you really need those other characters. So I should have put at least a handful of those characters in so they had a better chance of deducing who was the president and who was who had the bomb card. I think it would be a lot more fun if I had done that. But yeah, it was still fun to try it, and the kids had a good time. They always are up for playing a game. So Two Rooms and a Boom. Looking forward to trying that again and getting a little bit deeper into the different opportunities. Ticket to Ride. So Ticket to Ride was one that was a lot of fun to play, and played this one actually with a group of students at my school. We have a thing called Win Time. It's like a flex time at the end of the day, one day a week. And I did every other week I'm doing like a board game, modern board games thing. So Ticket to Ride's, I guess, modern-ish, but I wanted to pick one that'd be pretty easy for kids who haven't had a lot of experience playing different board games. And so I had 4 tables set out. We had 5 people at each table, and we played 4 games of Ticket to Ride, and so it was a lot of fun. I had different boards out there, but we all just played with the base game rules. And yeah, the kids had a good time, and I even got to beat up on a few of them, so that was a lot of fun too. So the next game is Railroad Tiles, and Railroad Tiles is another one that I played at World Series of Board Gaming, and my friend John and Wendy taught that to me. He had purchased it recently, but I think we were using I don't remember if we were using their personal copy or one of the copies from the library there at the Dice Tower West collection. But you're basically bidding for, it's kind of like the King Domino, bidding for the row of tiles you want to take, and the further over to the right you go, then you're going to have a later choice next time around. But you're putting these tiles out and building your tableau. You're trying to connect the road to the roads and the railroad tracks to the railroad tracks, and you got cars and people, and I think there was one other, trains, cars and peoples and trains. You're trying to put people around the stadiums and trains around the tracks and cars around the roads, and you're capitalizing on putting those in certain patterns. But it was a fun little kind of tile laying pattern building game. Enjoyed that quite a bit by Horrible Guild, and look forward to having a chance to play that in the future again, hopefully. This one I wasn't expecting to play, but I've wanted to play it for a long time. It's a Reiner Knizia game, and it's by Eggerspiel. And I was getting ready to head to the airport, and there was a gentleman just saw me walking through. I was just kind of looking around, looking to say goodbye to a few people. And he said, "Hey, you interested in playing a game?" And I said, "Well, I got to leave in about 20 or 30 minutes." And he said, "Perfect, I got the game just for you." And then he pulled this out of the bag. And Chin is a game that I've wanted to play, but it's an older one that's not necessarily really available. I've tried to buy used copies of it and just can't find one for a reasonable price. So, but you're laying out these tiles, and when I just played it the one time, and it was a rush teach job. So, I mean, did a good job, but trying to remember the rules might be a little hazy here. I know when you get a certain number of these tiles in a row, then you put out your little castles, and when the group gets, I think, to 5, you get to double up the height of the castle. But you're also by the way you connect them. Sometimes you can push other players' castles out of the region, and take kind of control of these. I forget what they're called, but they're these kind of bordered sections here where this green one's at. You kind of take control of those by surrounding it with more of your territories of tiles with your little gazebo things on the top. So I think this one was made up recently by Bitewing Games, a newer version called Gazebo, maybe. And so I might have to look at getting into finding a copy of that one. But did enjoy that play of Chin. Played Propolis by Flat Out Games. And this was another one that played at the World Series of Board Gaming. And it is kind of an engine building game, a Splendor type of feel to it. You're let's see if I can find some other pictures here. You're storing up resources on this board, and as you gain those resources, then you're able to purchase different cards and put them out to organize them. Not really seeing any great pictures that will help kind of explain the way the game plays, but let's see here, we might have some. So you're bidding on them out here. You're putting your bees out there to get these cards and then to put them into your tableau, and then you're buying these other ones over here with what you collect and with the resources you're collecting. And so as you take these and you're tracking, like if I took this one over here with the blue, I could take the 2 yellow and I could track that here to try to build up my resources and then spend those resources to get the cards, and then you get the cards in your tableau and they score different ways. So it was a nice, like I said, engine building type of game that I enjoy and had a good time. As one that John, I think, had played and taught, he and Wendy taught me how to play that one, so that was a fun one to play. Next up is Money, and this is one that I received as part of the Kickstarter backing of River Valley Glassworks, another Reiner Knizia game, and I think it's a remake of an older game maybe, or maybe it's just a reprint with updated features and updated money. But basically you are trying to get multiples or majorities of these different, see if I can find a newer version picture. Looks like these are mostly the older ones, but you're trying to get majority of these different kinds of currencies by bidding on them and collecting them from the middle. Yeah, it looks like all these pictures are going to be from the old one, but yeah, it's kind of a classic Knizia game where you're trying to outwit and bid to get the money so you can get those majorities. But if you get 3 of any kind, then you get a bonus thing, maybe 100 points or 200 points, depending on which kind you get. Yeah, I only played it the one time, and so I don't remember the details of the rules other than the fact that you are trying to bid to get the majorities of those different currencies. And yeah, it was fun. I'd like to try it again. We just pulled it out one night at a game night real quick with some friends and try to work our way through it, reading the rules as we went, but it was fun. I'd like to give it another shot. Next up, Lord of the Rings, Fate of the Fellowship. This one we played again at World Series of Board Gaming. It was laid out in the Hot Games table, and it is a really fun game if you like Pandemic. We had a great time playing it. We played on easy mode, and we got down to the last roll, and if it had rolled the right way, we would have won, but it rolled, I think it's a tree, like a diseased tree is what it looks like. I forget the name of it, but you're working around, you're basically trying to get Frodo and Sam to Mordor to deliver the the rings, which are represented by 5 little ring tokens. But along the way, you have to accomplish these other feats, and you have to do them before you can take the ring to Mordor. You also have to protect Sam and Frodo as they're traveling through. And it does have that Pandemic kind of vibe to it, where at these Nazgul are kind of chasing you around, the Eye of Sauron's following you around, the different orcs and our troops are traveling around and starting battles with you. So it had a really fun vibe to it, especially if you like the Lord of the Rings theme. But John, who isn't a super Lord of the Rings fan and then also isn't a super Pandemic fan, also said he really enjoyed the game. And so I think it speaks a lot to what they've done here with Z-Man Games and Matt Leacock kind of rebranding to some degree that Pandemic system with a great IP. We also played Lightning Train, and the first time we had a couple of rules wrong. It's the newest one from Dire Wolf and Paul Denon, who made Dune Imperium and Clank and a few other games. And it's a train game, but it's kind of a deck building based train game. and we had a couple rules wrong. I went back and watched them play it again with those corrected rules, and it looks like it'd be a lot more fun. There was small details, but it made enough of a difference that I definitely need to get another play of this before I can really comment on how much I would like it. But you're basically pulling these little tiles out of the bag, and then you're putting them here in on your board. Each of these, the purple, yellow, green, and blue, are your personal player boards, and you're putting those little tiles out to try to put trains out on the board, and then you use those trains to ship goods from one place to another. So yeah, I'd like to try that one again. I've never been a super fan of train games, but I think this is, with that bag building element, probably not going to feel like the traditional train game. And so yeah, I really want to try that one again. Played Great Western Trail, the second edition, or I guess I don't even know if it's second or first edition. It was on BGA. And to be honest, it was really busy. It was right when I was getting ready to go to World Series Board Game. I was trying to get everything for school organized, starting the school year, and I hadn't played it in a couple of years. Couldn't really remember the rules, so I I know the rondel action. I know the collecting of the cows and delivering them up here to the I forget even what the city is that we're taking them up here and selling them. So I would definitely have to read the rules again. I was kind of just clicking to work my way through the game because I couldn't remember it and didn't have the time to go back and read the rules. And I knew kind of the flow of how to take my turns and to put buildings down into hire workers. I knew like how to do it, but I didn't know how to do it well or how to score well. So I need to try that one again when I have some time and can really read the rules and refresh my memory on how it works and how you score. But we also had a chance to play Great Western Trail El Paso while we were at the World Series of Board Gaming. And John taught this one, which is kind of a distilled version. So you're still buying the cow cards, you're still building buildings, you're still hiring workers, cowboys, and engineers, and you still have these tokens that you're trying to take off whenever you get to El Paso to sell the cows. And then you're taking one of these tokens off as you score, and it has sort of an escalating. Your deck of cows gets better and better, and your buildings get stronger and stronger as you hire the different people. And there's a timing element to it. It's interesting when you start reaching the end and you can tell someone's going to finish the game. You're kind of scrambling to see how you can score points at the end. You use your engineers to play the train. You use their buildings to give you different bonus actions and abilities, and use the cowboys to get better cow cards. But I did enjoy Great Western Trail El Paso, and currently just finished up a game on BGA recently with that. I do need to still look back at the rules to refresh my memory exactly on what is everything that scores, because we played it the one time and I knew very well how to play it then and kind of how it scores, but I think I missed a few things that would have helped my score in that BGA play. Nevertheless, I did enjoy it. Galactic Cruise is next up, and Galactic Cruise is becoming one of my favorite games. I've just played it the one time with the physical and the one time solo on BGA, and currently I'm in a 4-player BGA game that I'm really enjoying. There are, again, a few little things I need to go back to the rules to refresh my memory on exactly how everything scores. It's one of those where it's smooth enough that I remember how to play the game and how to take all the actions and kind of how to combo the actions, but I don't necessarily remember all the different ways you get points. But basically, you're building out these cruise ships and you're sending people on these cruise flights, and it is just a gorgeous production. And it has just a lot of interweaving parts and decisions you have to make, because it's best if you advertise the cruise and then encourage people to go on those cruises, and you need to gain the fuel and the oxygen, the food to run those trips. And each time you do run a trip, you're going to get some bonuses which escalate your abilities. You can also untap grande type workers that have extra abilities. Yeah, like I said, it's just got a bunch of wonderful interconnected decisions to make, and the timing of everything is important. You also want to chain these different actions together, and that's what these little kind of gear tokens do. So if this blue worker was mine and I took an action in this station, because I have a blue gear here beside it, I could also take my second action over here in this station. And so you're trying to chain those together so you can combo your actions together well. So many things I love about this game. Like I said, I need to crack out the rule book again and refresh my memory on all the ways you get victory points, because like I said, it's easy to understand how to play. I just can't remember right now how to get all the points, and so I know I'm playing suboptimally in my current BGA game. But yeah, I really love it, and I can't wait to get it to the table physically, my own copy, so that I can teach my wife. I think she would enjoy it as well. So Galactic Cruise, a lot of fun. Emberleaf is one that we played again at the World Series of Board Gaming. Just cracked it out, watched the video, tried to figure out the rules as we went. Really cute art. Moving around on this map, again, you're trying to combo. It has a visual feel of kind of like an Everdell, and with the art and the characters, the anthropomorphic animals, little wooden tokens. There's a real Everdell vibe, but it doesn't play like Everdell. You are moving around on this board out here and exploring, and you have I think it's called card dancing, but you're basically sliding these cards along your personal board. So this is a 4-player game with each player having their own boards, and you're sliding these cards, and when they slide when you play certain cards, they have an action. When you slide other cards, they have an action, and when they fall off your board, they have another action. And you're trying to combo those things really well together. It was a lot of fun. I'd like to try it again. I didn't actually get to finish my game because we were probably a few rounds away, and I had signed up for a Phoenix match at the World Series of Board Gaming, so I didn't get to finish my game, but I really enjoyed the experience that I had with it and would love to try it again. So that was Emberleaf, and I forgot to say who was the developer of that one. So the designer was James Tomlin and Frank West. Oh, Frank West is the Isle of Cats creator, I believe, and it was from the City of Games. So yeah, very much enjoyed my mostly play of that game, but need to play it again. Played Crokinole for the first time at the World Series of Board Gaming, and just after we played Dune Imperium, that was a game that I competed in. The three of us that were at the same table went out, and one of them taught us how to play Crokinole because the other two of us had never played it. So we sat down, had a fun game, and yeah, it is a lot of fun dexterity game. We just played it the one time, and then we had to go on and meet friends and get to lunch and do all kinds of other things. But yeah, it was fun to play Crokinole for the first time ever. I really enjoyed it. Played Castle Combo at World Series of Board Gaming as well. Another kind of engine building where you're trying to get cards together, combo the cards, so that they can feed off of each other and give you great points by the way you lay them out in your tableau. And you're basically building this 3x3 tableau, and you're using these keys to give you extra actions, and you got to spend money and use the actions to manipulate the cards in the field where you're choosing them from. It's kind of kooky art and a fun feel. If you like combo-tastic type games, that is a good one. It's from Catch-Up Games by Gregory Gerard and Matthew Russell. I butchered those names, I'm quite sure. But yeah, definitely enjoyed Castle Combo or Chateau Combo, I think I've heard it called too. Played Cascadia, I won't talk about that. I've talked about that so many times because at some point during the month I'm almost always going to play either the physical or the digital version of that. Just an old standby favorite. Aqua Garden, though, with the Beachcombing expansion. Oh, we played Cascadia and Aqua Garden with some friends and taught them both games. And we just threw the Beachcombing expansion in. They had never played Aqua Garden before, but they were keen to try, and they enjoyed it. Collecting the different tiles and tokens with the bottles, trying to recycle the waste with the Beachcombing expansion. It's a lot of fun. Basically, you have this board where you've got all the different fish around the edges. Here's a picture of the board. You got all these different fish and then beachcombing elements around the board, and you can move as far forward as you want, but then the person in last position always goes next. And so you're trying to pick up the fish to populate your aquarium, and you try to pick up these beachcombing items to populate your beachcombing board and gain points depending on the different types. You get a certain number of points if you get pairs for certain ones and triplets for others and sets for the others. So lots of fun. You're also trying to achieve different goals and accomplishments before other players by filling out your aquarium. Let's see if I can find a picture where it's showing the aquarium board. That might be more. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to find one here. Yeah, not here, but it is a really nice. Right now, I think the Aqua Garden trilogy, or I forget, the Garden trilogy. There's a Dino Garden and a Sky Garden and an Aqua Garden. I think they might still be live or they might have just ended on Kickstarter GameFound, and with a couple new types of games for it. But yeah, it's a simple game in terms of the rule set. It's pretty easy to teach, so that's why the friends we taught, they haven't really played a ton of games, but even with the Beachcombing expansion, they were able to pick up on it right away. And we had a good time playing that one. All right, next up, Seven Wonders Dice. This one, I'm not even sure if it's released yet, but it's by Repos Productions. Antoine Bowsett designed it. But one of the developers had brought a copy to World Series of Board Gaming, and we were looking at it, trying to read the rules, and he came by and said, "Hey, do you want me to teach how to play that game?" And I had no idea who he was, so we said, "Sure." And he sat down and played the game, taught it to us, and it's a roll and write, but you've got this box, and go back to this picture. You've got this box that you put the dice in, and you swirl it around on the table, and then you open up, the dice are going to be in one of these four quadrants. They're all going to be in different quadrants, and you're going to pick one. And as you go around from one quadrant to the next, they become more and more expensive. So you might choose the dice that are in the cheap quadrant, even though they might not be optimal, or you might choose the ones that are more expensive that are going to really help you fill out your writing table here. Everyone has their own board. It was interesting. It had kind of wax type pencils instead of dry erase pencils, so it was kind of a new feel. It kind of felt weird, like we shouldn't be writing on it with that, but it worked fine. But you're trying to fill out the blue building and the yellow building and the green building and the red building, and I think as soon as one person gets three of them completely filled, it triggers into the game, and each time you get one filled, you get one of these bonuses down here with the hourglasses in the bottom right hand corner. It's Seven Wonders adjacent. It's got a lot of the same symbology, and you're trying to combo things together, but it feels different. I think Seven Wonders Architect and Seven Wonders Duel feel more like the original Seven Wonders in gameplay, but this one was fun. If you like roll and writes, I think this will be a hit for a lot of people. We had a good time just playing it that one time, and it was fun to meet one of the developers who works for Asmodee and have him teach us the game and talk to us a little bit about the development of it. So Wormspan, played this one a couple times while my youngest was out visiting from Indiana, and they had learned the game and played it multiple times, so they taught us how. And it's a fun board game like Wingspan, but a lot of little differences. Instead of actioning from right to left, as Wingspan does with the bird cards, you're going from left to right with your dragons. You also have to put down caves before you can put down dragons. You have, instead of a certain number of actions per round, you use these coins to determine your actions, and there are certain ways you can gain extra coins. You're still putting out eggs on these different dragon cards like you do in Wingspan, and you're still scoring points in a lot of the same ways. You're still buying the cards in similar fashion, but with milk and meat and jewels and things instead of the worms and the bugs and other, I forget what all the things are you use in Wormspan or Wingspan. But yeah, it's a really nice game, and I enjoyed it enough that I went ahead and picked up the Dragon Academy expansion. The Wormspan game that I have actually was a review copy, but I picked up the Dragon Academy expansion myself. And yeah, our Thanksgiving is going to be filled with some more games, and hopefully Jade can come out and visit again, and we'll be able to play that one with the expansion while they're here visiting. Next up, played Splendor, and this one I was stuck in the airport waiting, and flight was delayed, and all I had was my phone, so just played a couple quick rounds of Splendor on my phone. Good old standby. You can play it real quick on your phone, but you're basically picking up these little jewels to buy these cards, and then buying these cards to gain victory points and hire these nobles to get the 15 points before the AI, in my case, since I was playing it on my phone. But yeah, Splendor's always a fun one to get back to. River Valley Glassworks, I talked about that last month as well. But it's a beautiful game where you are collecting glass from the river. The river keeps changing as it doesn't seem to want to go to the picture here. Anyway, maybe my internet connection is slowed down. Anyway, you are picking up the glasswork in the river, and you are putting it, there we go. You're picking up the glassworks in the river, and then you're putting it in your store, trying to get both horizontal rows and vertical columns to score points. And so we played that a couple more times in September, which was a lot of fun. And then played a couple games of Risk on my phone as well while I was sitting at the airport waiting on my flight. I don't know if it would really classify as the revised edition since it was just on my phone, but yeah, it was just fun to play. I played a couple different versions on my phone and cranked out a couple games of Risk, which you can do really quick digitally. And then the highlight of the month was Dune Imperium Uprising. I got to play 4 times at the World Series of Board Gaming. And that might sound like, oh, you must have won a lot, but no, I hadn't played it in over a year, and I had read the rules and watched a few videos, tried to bone up on the strategy a bit, but I've only played it, I think, 7 times total in my life, and 4 of them came during the World Series of Board Gaming. So I got there the day before I competed, And that day I played 2 games. I played once with just a handful of people, just randomly found them getting ready to play, got invited in to join them. I placed second in that game, which was fun. And then 2 of us were like, hey, let's play again. And so we found 2 more people, and it actually ended up being 3 of us in that group were going into the tournament the next day. So that was a lot of fun to be playing with people who were, again, trying to practice and refresh their memory on everything and just get some more repetitions and to hopefully be prepared for that competition in the actual tournament the next day. And actually ended up winning that game. So it was a lot of fun, those 2 games of preparation. And then on the game day, I got second place in the first round of the actual competition. So I did not get to move on. But then I signed up for the Phoenix, went into the Phoenix tournament and try again just because I love playing the game and I wanted to get another shot at it. And I finished third in that game. So no chance of moving on in either the actual competition or the Phoenix competition. But I learned a lot from watching people who really know this game inside and out. How they comboed the cards and just their familiarity with the cards and the benefits of the different cards was mind-boggling for me, having only played it a handful of times. So I'd like to go back next year and maybe compete again, but as you can see, I've only played it 7 times in my life, and 4 were that week in 2 days. So I need to find a way to get this to the table more. I don't have a gaming group here in Seattle that plays this kind of games, so I need to find some people that are willing to do it with me, or maybe a digital version will come out for this one so that I can find a way to get more gameplays in. And I'd love to get better at it so I could be a little more competitive in the World Series of Board Gaming for that. But I had a great time. The World Series of Board Gaming is just such a terrific event. I have taken a bunch of pictures, and I'll create another video just specifically talking about that. But if you ever have the chance to go to it, I would highly recommend it. It's a great time to go to Vegas, play board games. The competition is so friendly. Like I said, at the first game in the actual tournament, the 3 of us that played afterwards, one of them said, hey, have you guys played the Crokinole games out there yet? And neither one of us have ever even played it. He goes, well, let me teach you. So we went out there, and he taught us how to play, and we hung out a little while, and we had just played this highly competitive game of Dune for the grand prize, but everyone is just so kind. I mean, there were some tensions that rose at different times in different games that I played because people are wanting to do it right and wanting to follow the rules, but everybody had just a really great sportsmanship, and everyone was just super helpful. If you would miss a turn, they would or miss a step on your turn, they would very kindly remind you. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and I also just enjoyed the open gaming and also just hanging out with our friends from California that we don't get to see very often. So I absolutely had a blast at the World Series of Board Gaming, and like I said, I'll make another video where I can show some pictures and talk a little bit about how that World Series of Board Gaming event works. But for this month, in September, my favorite games, the new to me game, I think probably definitely Lord of the Rings, Fate of the Fellowship was my favorite new to me game. I did enjoy Seven Wonders Dice, but not nearly to the same level of Lord of the Rings. And I did enjoy Railroad Tiles and Chin. Those are also fun ones that I got quite a bit of enjoyment out of, and Wormspan. So yeah, and Emberleaf. Yeah, so there were quite a few that I did enjoy. But the Lord of the Rings, Fate of the Fellowship is the winner take all for new games to me this month. And then for getting back to the table, I mean, Dune Imperium is my favorite game. I've only played it 7 times, but every time I play it, I just enjoy it more. And so currently it is my #1 game. But I can see Galactic Cruise rising up. I've only played it. I'm in my 3rd gameplay of it now, 1 physical, 2 online. And so, those 2 are right there for getting back to the table and really loving them. I'll give it to the Dune Imperium experience, just having the opportunity to play it at the World Series of Board Gaming. I've never been in that kind of a competitive mode before where it was actual competition with money on the line. Yeah, so that's the back to the table game, even though I haven't played it that many times. It was a lot of fun. So hopefully you enjoyed hearing my ramblings about World Series of Board Gaming and these 23 games that I played, 30 gameplays of for September. Which of these games are some of your favorites, or are they some of the games on here games you don't really enjoy? And then also, what are some games you played in September that really stood out to you as some favorites? As always, thanks for watching. This is Bill Indiana, signing off.